Robin, how are you doing?
It's getting near Christmas, big guy.
I know. Have you finished the Christmas shopping?
No started. Listen, it's first week in December. You know, I've got another 2 weeks after this.
This is why they invented Amazon.
Aye, you better believe it. But I've heard the lead-in times are pretty shit, so you need to get pressing that one-click button and buying photometers. Yeah, for people's birthdays and Christmases and all that.
So guys, for anyone who's just listening to us for today, this is the first time me and Robin, we've been playing around with this idea for a few weeks, but now we're actually going to record these sessions because along with the Facebook page we always mention, I've started a YouTube channel. So this is going to go to the YouTube channel. We've got a YouTube channel, Swimming Pool Network. So hopefully these are, if all goes to plan, these videos are going to go up there.
Listeners, don't worry. We're still humble. I know we're big time now, but we're still humble. Yeah. We're big. We're a big name in the industry now because of this. You know, there's people giving us dogs abuse from every direction, loving it, absolutely loving it. Yeah,
it's these two technophobes. That's what it is.
Yeah,
dogs abuse.
So I'm the. By the way, see when you watch the video, I'm the good-looking one with the hair. Yeah, it might be grey. It might be grey, but it is here. Yeah.
Mate, the little I've got when it starts growing, it's grey as well. So, you know, it's not good news, Rob. Lockdown 2's finished. Thank God for us down here in England. You've got all the different tier systems still. But the latest news we've had down here is that 233 public pools have still not opened.
And there's no sign of them opening, is there?
No.
It's similar in Scotland. There's a lot of swimming pools that are not opening. There was a plan to open them in March. I don't know whether that was just talk. I don't know whether that was just to try and appease people. But, you know, listen, let's look at the positive. We've had a lot of people opening up their pools recently. A lot of places that are telling us that, yeah, our bookings are absolutely mobbed. Everyone's in. Every session's booked up. So let's keep it that way. And let's just fingers crossed that these swimming pools do intend to open in March if they say they're going to do that. So let's look at the positive. It's Christmas. We've got to look at the positive. We
have. And, you know, myself and Robin are big advocates for pools being open because I'm not being funny. Our jobs are reliant on pools being open.
You're fucking right, big guy. Listen, you know, I'm no disrespect to people that work in Lidl's and that. I'm quite happy with what I do. I don't want to be applying to the local supermarket down the road, although it is a very, very important job and a very important role. And these guys have been keeping us fed and water throughout the whole lockdown. But I would quite like to continue to keep doing what I'm doing so people get their pools open. All right.
Yeah.
And and do a good job when they are open. This week I've had to do a wee retest of the old bacteriological analysis at one particular site. Now, it could be any reason behind that, but I just thought it was quite appropriate to help people out with maybe a course of action that you could take if you did get maybe a high level of colony count. Now, this could easily be down to just high levels of pollution. There is a bit of conflicting information in the industry about whether you should pre-swim shower or not. From a PewTag perspective, we would suggest yes, continue to pre-swim shower, but Sports Scotland and Swim England are advocating not. So, and we've actually heard today from somebody very high up in PewTag, both myself and Ian have spoke to him today, and unfortunately he is suggesting that potentially Swim England and Sports Scotland might have to take precedent because that isn't really part of the water treatment process, because that's part of the management of the facility. So there's a bit of a grey area there. I would suggest that it is still part of the water treatment process. But, you know, anyway, we're splitting hairs a wee bit. But because there's no pre-swim showers, then maybe the influx of bacteria into the water is a wee bit higher than well, maybe quite significantly higher than it normally is. And you might get the occasional colony count if you're unlucky in terms of when the guy comes in to do a water test. So, and from that perspective, you just need to make sure that you're cleaning routine is up to scratch. Your scum lines are done. This is when you should be cleaning your pool covers using the chlorine dioxide, the Desipure, the basics. The basics that you've heard me and Ian talk about over the last 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. The basics are crucial. You don't need to do anything crazy. You don't need to backwash in the morning of when the guy comes in to do a retest. You follow your normal process and procedures and protocols. What you might need to do is look at the chemical levels that were in place when that sample was taken, and that's really important because that can give you a wee indication of what the picture was when indeed the high colony count or whatever was occurred in your pool. So that's just a wee snapshot of what was up to this week, and maybe to help the listeners if they do indeed have a wee high colony count. It's nothing to be alarmed about. Listen, you get another bite of the cherry. You get the guy back in, collect the sample, do the retest. Hopefully it's squeaky clean after that. If not, believe it or not, you get a third bite of the cherry.
Yes,
but don't make an arse of the third bite of the cherry. Yeah. Actually delay the retest on a third test if you need, to make sure that you're happy you found the issue, you found the cause. Because see, if you fail it a third time, by rights, you should be contacting the authorities to inform them that you've had 3 fails at your pool, and they might require you to close that pool until you find the problem. But so listen, you get 3 bites of the cherry, you know. Be aware that if you fail a third time, then that could pose you a problem in terms of closing the pool until you can resolve it. But listen, that's rare. So rare. Just get the basics right, and you'll be all the road, and we'll keep these pools open.
Yeah, definitely. So this week having an interesting week, Robin.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I've got to play with what I would say is the, well, in fact, no, I can say this. It's the largest swimming pool system I've ever had to play around with.
Brilliant.
So fun. So normally 50-meter pools, yeah, done that. Water parks, done that. 50-meter pool, somewhere around about 2,000 cubes to 2,500 cubes of water. So you look at about 2 million litres to 2.5 million litres. So this, I was at the Wave Pool in Bristol. So if anyone in this podcast has not seen this before, I suggest you have a look at it. It's an inland surfing pool, and it's done with this unique technology from Wave Garden, which is obviously separate to the pool part of the plant. But this thing is from the tip of the triangle to the middle of the hypotenuse. It's 184 meters long, and at the hypotenuse at the shoreline is 200 meters wide. And it's got a deepest point of 3 meters deep. So when working it out, and trust me, it took a bit of working out, it was just under 31,000 cubic meters of water. So 31 million liters of water.
That's like about 10 or 12 50-meter pools. It's about that. 10 or 12 50-meter
and I went up early in the morning as well. So first surfers were up there at 6 o'clock in the morning getting ready for the surf. And
dedicated.
Yeah, it's 80 surfers are in there, packed. It's a shame because they've also got like eco pods and various different things around the site. Obviously, they're closed just now because of the restrictions and COVID and stuff like that. But fantastic facility. But had a turnover time, Robin, of 88 hours.
Amazing. I'm just actually looking at the photos on my phone that you sent. Yeah. And I love that photo where you've taken it, where you can see the bank of the circulation pumps. Brilliant.
Yeah, well, they're the wave pumps. The wave, and it's funny. You think the wave is you'd create the wave and it'd be one continuous wave, but what it is the first 5 pumps make the first part of the wave, but then a few seconds later, the next 5 pumps take that wave over and push it on, and the next 5, and the next 5, and the next 5. So when it makes a singular wave, if you just activate the first 5 pumps, it doesn't actually do anything. It just makes an initial wave for a few meters, but then you have to push it on. So it's quite unique. I'll explain to you one day about how it works, but very unique. But the part that got me, that was separate. That's just the wave plant that you're looking at. It's a great photo. That's why I took it. It's 120 odd meters long, that like corridor there. It was brilliant. With the filtration. So the filtration was made off-site in Spain by Wave Garden. It's an actual company. They've got a few of these around the world: Australia, South Korea. There's one in Snowdonia and there's one in Bristol. They're planning massive expansions around the world. But they actually made the plant in the cargo container in Spain, finished, and then shipped it straight to the UK, and just sort of basically just plugged it in.
Mental.
It is.
Do you know what, Ian? That's not a first. See the temporary pools that we used during the Olympics. I was lucky enough to go into Baron Ray, who are a big design and build company in Scotland. Well, they're one of the biggest in the UK, and they had the contract for the temporary pools. And I was amazed that they used these containers that you're talking about, and they had the full plant in the container, and they just took that down and plugged it in beside the temporary pools that they had down in near London for the teams that were training. It was fantastic. It was amazing to see, and that's obviously going back 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But I thought at that time, my word, that's great. What a thought process, that you can actually just plug and play a plant room. Brilliant, and that's maybe something that in the future, you might see more of, temporary pools popping up. Who knows,
So this plant, Robin, had a Defender filter.
Defender filters, perlite ore, opening a can of worms, big guy.
Do you know what? It is. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've only ever seen 3 in the UK. I know there's a few more than that, but I've only actually physically seen 3 myself. The first one was Tottenham Green Leisure Centre. And then it was one in Centre Parks, and I've seen one somewhere else as well. But this was my 4th Defender filter. But it's the biggest one I've seen. It was absolutely massive. So if anyone hasn't seen it, Defender's technically a brand, but yeah, it's regeneration filter using a pre-coat of a perlite.
Yeah.
It was interesting. So I was lucky enough to see it through its bumping process, which is slightly different for any of the listeners out there who've not heard this before. It does something different. It doesn't backwash, it bumps. Another thing is quite different about these is the water flow goes in the reverse of what we're normally used to. So it goes in the bottom, up into the rods that hang out the top, and then obviously back round to the pool. So, that kind of gets your head to go around a little bit as well. But Robin, this thing had thrown a couple of rods, which I'd never seen before.
Well, that's brilliant, because you would get a chance to actually see the rod in the flesh.
I did.
I've only ever seen it through the viewing window in a swimming pool, and the rods that you would have seen would have been pretty large. Obviously.
Yeah, so probably roughly about 2 meters in length. About a meter in length, but maybe 1.2 meters. It was almost like a large spring actually inside the clothing of it, which was quite interesting. But because there was a couple of rods missing, the perlite was actually going around the system. So the perlite was getting into the pool, unfortunately, causing a bit of an issue. They're getting it repaired in a couple of weeks.
It's a complex system, isn't it, Ian? Because the water's going into the actual filter shell, and then the water goes through the perlite ore to get into the rod. Then it comes back out the filter shell, then back into the swimming pool. So the filter media is really the perlite ore that's on that rod. Yes. And they almost sit, they sit there, they're just hovering in the filter shell, and the water is surrounding it. And it looks very odd, when you see it. It looks like a big Dalek. And listen, they sell by the bucket load around the world. But the UK, you've always got the cynics and the skeptics saying, it's a load of shite. That's the word we get. It's a load of shite. Yeah. But listen, I'm not saying that it's brilliant, and I'm not saying that it's no brilliant. I have seen it. I went down to Wales earlier on the year, and I witnessed it in 2 or 3 sites down there. For some reason, the Welsh are right into it at this point in time, along with ceramic filters. I took a good colleague of mine from Edinburgh, and we went down. We had a wee look we got taken round for the day. I'll name drop it. Sterling Hydrotech took us round purely because it was their sites. You know, there was nothing else in that, but it was because they were managing. Well, they were doing the maintenance on the sites. They took us round, and yeah, it was interesting, very interesting. Do you know what? The sites were all very pro Defender filters, but they were going to say that, you know, because they're using it. They don't know anything different, really. Well, some of them do. Some of them were used to the medium rate filters from before. But yeah, it was very interesting. I'd love to hear more stories about it. So if anyone's got some really good information, drop us a wee message on the Facebook chat, you know.
But no, it was as I say, it was interesting. I mean, to give you a bit of an idea, you think they had one Defender filter in, and that was it. And it's the biggest one I've ever seen, Robin. It was much bigger than what I've seen in pools. But they had a flow rate of 352 cubes an hour. That was what the flow rate meter was saying. So that, and when I worked out compared to the surface area of the filter, and they could vary the speed as well. So they could vary the speed from as little as 250 cubes a meter. 250 cubes an hour to up to 450 cubes an hour. And I worked it out when they were on the low rate setting of 250, that they were doing 11 cubic meters of water per squared meter per hour. So they were just hovering around low rate filtration. It was almost low rate filtration. It was the bottom end of medium rate. But when they ramped the pumps right up to 450, I worked it out, they were doing 20.8 cubic meters of water per meter squared. So either which way, they're medium filtration. But what I thought was really interesting was that when they ramped it back down, they almost got low rate filtration. So, you know, the potential of the water quality there was astronomical.
Yeah, so long as the media is good, though. Yeah, yeah. That's it. You know, you're relying on that perlite ore working, and you're also not able to use a coagulant. But then the argument there is that the Defender filters filter right down to, well, I think officially they say 2 microns, isn't it? Or even down to
1 or 2 microns, they say. So yeah, I mean, it was because you don't see them very often. So you're probably a bit like me, Robin. You're a bit like a kid in a sweet shop because you don't see it that often, especially of that size and that magnitude of water. I don't think I will ever probably come across a bigger water system. The only one I can think of that's bigger than that is that pool in Chile that's over a kilometre long. That's the only bigger system I can think of. Maybe one that I saw in Dubai was bigger, actually. But
yeah, I mean that is a massive volume of water. I mean, there's 2 bodies of water that I've been involved in terms of consultancy basis that have been the equivalent of that. And one was Annick Gardens, where there's a massive water feature. It's like a big waterfall, and the water is, you know, it's a big feature all around the big garden up in Northumberland. And there was a lake in Stranraer, believe it or not, down in Stranraer, which is used as a boating pond. And it's a big volume of water, and it needed treated, and had issues with algae. But anything, there's been nothing from a swimming pool perspective that's as big as what that is. That must be the highest volume of water, possibly out with maybe the canoe courses that they use down in. I can't remember where that one is.
I do that. You're thinking of Lee Valley, and I've done Lee Valley as well.
Yeah.
And Lee Valley's not as much as that.
Legoland uses a lot of water.
It does. I was at Legoland 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, they use a lot of water.
Again, over the whole of the park, it probably has only got about a third of that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
one ride in particular that uses a lot, but yeah, Legoland uses. I can't. No, I can't come to fathom anything that's that big.
Nah, SeaWorld's the one big guy. That's the only one that I can think of really that's going to compete, you know.
Yeah.
But that's good. I mean, that's a great learning curve for you as well.
Oh God, yeah, fantastic. Loved it. I really did love it. But let's talk about Pewtag's early Christmas present to everyone. They've kind of got a Christmas present, haven't they?
Aye, absolutely. Pewtag membership, was it 35 quid?
35 quid for an associate membership, yeah.
Do you know what? Listen, sign up, right? 35 quid, you get the book, right?
Yeah.
I'll buy the book off you for 20 quid, right? So listen, anyone out there that's not wanting their book, I'll buy it off you 20 quid, right? I'll stock them up. I'll be selling them in January for 50. There we go.
Yeah, so
Oh, listen, it's a great offer. It was a great offer. Get in there, get yourself a membership. You'll get full access to all the technical notes. You'll get full access to everything. You'll get cheaper rates on going to the conference. You'll get cheaper rates on their seminars and everything else that comes with it. It's good. It's good to be associated with it as well. It is a bit of a bureaucratic process. You have to submit your CV, your experience, your qualifications, and the other thing is that you need to have PUTAG accredited training behind you to become a member in that.
Yes, you do. Yeah, so one of the 4 bodies that are approved. And the thing is, the retail price of the Blue Book is 65 quid.
That's
so,
right.
You know, it's almost half price then, technically, if you're just getting them for 35 quid. And even when they first launched them, I can tell you now that me and Robin did get slight discounts in the book when they first got launched, but we didn't get as low as 35 quid.
Certainly did not. I think it was, it was about 7 quid we got off or something. Or 7
yeah, it was. I think
that's why I'm trying to buy up all the books for 20 quid now from you, you know. So you know where to get me. You know where to get me.
Yeah, and not just that, but to support them, because we've said it a lot of times, they've done a magnitude of work over these last sort of 6 to 8 months, whatever it is, from COVID, doing different sort of work on what the virus does and how to keep your pools open and not open, and what to do with them. So yeah, that would be interesting to find out. But as I say, me and Robin had an interesting conversation today. This is one actually we could put out there for the group. Is has anyone had any tiling failure? We were talking about that today, weren't we? Tiling failure during the lockdowns. We just wondered if anyone's had any tiling failure, any pools anywhere. We've potentially lost some tiles. Tiles sort of moving, shifting, a few coming off.
I think what people are suggesting is that the tiles are coming off the wall because they've been encouraged to reduce their temperature. But there's very, very clear, definitive protocols for reducing your temperature. And to be fair, see, trying to reduce the temperature in the pool, it doesn't happen quickly.
No,
it does not happen quickly. And you need to do a hell of a lot of dilution to get that temperature to come down so quick that you're going to get thermal shock in a pool. Normally, thermal shock occurs when you're heating it up, and you're heating it up too quick. But trying to cool it down and allowing the temperature to come down to ambient temperature, then I've never ever heard the tiles coming off the wall because of that. Maybe the drop in the water level, indeed, yes, certainly dropping the water level, but just the temperature, no, that was a new one to me that I heard.
As you well know, I've winterized a few outdoor pools in the last few months. And if you think an outdoor pool now, what's it going to get as cold down here in the south? Probably down to about -2, -3, and then in the summer, what did we get up to? Probably 30 degrees, 32 degrees maybe. So there's a massive swing in temperature that those are exposed to. And the last one I winterized, actually, funny enough, was tiled with mosaic tiles. I haven't lost a single tile off it. There's got to be some other underlying reasons potentially there for us to why they're losing them. So, but on all seriousness, we've heard from Fife, haven't we? From Fife Leisure Centre, or was it Perth? Was it Perth? Or
Perth,
Fife?
yeah.
That had their pool sort of damaged not through their fault, but it flooded a bit, didn't it? Just a bit.
Just a bit. It was. You could only see the top of the filters. Now these are big, medium rate filters, and so it was the water was 12 foot deep in the plant room. So you might think that you're struggling with the COVID situation. Well, Perth Leisure Pool now, they're in a situation where they have no plant room and it's not looking good. I think it's going to take nearly 10 months to get it back up and running. So, but they'll get a brand spanking new plant room hopefully. Yeah. So they might.
Robin's on 20% commission.
I wish. They might look. This is a time for them to maybe look at the ceramic or the Defender filters, and this could be a wee opportunity for them to look into it. I'm not suggesting they go for it, but it's a good opportunity for them to consider new and new options in terms of filtration and equipment and so on. That's maybe a podcast that we could do. What would you put in a brand new plant room, and what would you consider when you're we could maybe even if you're building a brand new swimming pool, what would you consider putting in? Or if you have to refurbish an entire pool, what would you consider putting in? And we'll maybe get someone from one of the big companies to come in and help us out with what it requires, what's needed, the plan, the design.
I mean, give you a bit of an idea when you're talking about obviously ceramics defend as an option there. So, Robin, one of my clients 2 weeks ago, I was down there. I don't know if I mentioned this in another podcast, but anyway, it's a 50-meter pool in one of the universities. It had a sand change because it was due. Yeah, four absolutely massive sand filters. Yeah, medium rate sand filters, each containing 11.5 tons. So they had just over 44 tons. Well, it was like 46 tons removed in a sand change, which they got done in lockdown 1.
That's a lot. It's a lot. And then if you're keeping those filters, you should really be sandblasting the internals of those filters to keep the integrity of the filter vessel true and honest. Yeah, and just ensure that it's not got corrosion and it's going to last for the next 20 years. I mean, I tell you what I have seen a lot of, Ian, is, filter refurbishments where they've taken out a fantastic stainless steel medium rate filter and replaced it with one of the spun bobbin ones, which has ended up, because of the size of it and the surface area, it's ended up becoming high rate. And that breaks my heart when I see that, because I think they've just taken out a really, really good quality stainless steel filter that they could have refurbished for maybe the same cost, and they've put in something that's only going to last 15 years,
The only reason why your heart's breaking is because you want to know where the stainless steel went.
yeah, you better believe it. No, well, they're reducing their surface area again, and you're thinking, why reduce? You want as large a surface area as you can in terms of filtration, It's crazy.
The weird thing is, Robin, is that people seem to think, and this is when you see a little, you say you go in a little pool, and it's got a little filter about waist high, people automatically presume that that's a high rate filter, where it's not necessarily a high rate filter, because it's all about the speed in which the water goes through per square meter. Well, how many cubic meters go through per square meter per hour. So I've seen it before where I went into places, maybe they've got 3 or 4 very small filters. First glance, you think, oh, probably high rate. You find each of them maybe have got a surface area of around about 750, 750, sort of 0.75 of a meter. By the time you put the 3 together, you sort of look and you've got about 2.2, surface area. And then by the time you calculate it out with the surface area, it turns out we've got medium rate. Because it's not about the size of the filter. That's one of the mistakes I used to make sort of in my early days. I used to look at little filters and think, well, that's a high rate, but it's not the case.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to judge it by the flow that comes in. So absolutely, you're right.
That's something that would work better as a visual now that we're going to record these sessions, so anyone could watch it back on the YouTube channel, and they could we'll put up an explanation. We'll try and dazzle with me and Robin's IT expertise.
Yeah, we've got some good videos and paraphernalia that we use in our training. So
Robin's also got stuff about pool plant rooms as well.
We might be able to incorporate them into the YouTube videos. We'll need to create YouTube videos that have to be shown after the watershed. So that's the.
So what have you got planned coming up next week, Robin?
Right. Okay. Next week, I've got training at Salubrious Swimming Pool on Monday, the Royal Commonwealth Pool in Edinburgh. I'm away there doing a foundation course. It's a cracking facility, really good facility. Spent a lot of money on it. It's a listed building, so it's got great character about it. And then I have to fly out to Belfast on Wednesday. I'm doing a 3-day course in Northern Ireland. This is the 3rd attempt at trying to get this course done. And they're desperate to get the guys through the course, because they've been waiting 6-7 months for this now. During the lockdown, the pool is still continuing, and they need the guys trained up. And it's so we I think it's a hydrotherapy pool. So they've actually been kept it running, but we've never had a chance, obviously due to the restrictions, to get across to do the course. So next week is the plan. We should be, well, I think Northern Ireland are out their lockdown, so we can go across and get it done for them. And so busy week next week. What about yourself, Ian?
University pool Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm going to Oxford University.
Oh, that'll be a first. Will they let you through the door?
I think I'll ask them for a doctorate while I'm there.
Yeah.
Give me how many doctorates so I can put doctor before my name.
Yeah.
Dr. Ogilvy.
Dr. Ogilvy, aye. The love doctor, is that what it is? Aye.
Then Thursday, so I'm just in the office, which isn't too bad. Then Friday, hopefully, well, I say Thursday I'm in the office, but I might be going to see a pool. And then Friday, hopefully, back to finish a course that I started over in West London for a new trust that's just started off, and try and help fix some of the problems that I discovered last week when I was there. So that's the plan. And then I'm actually working Saturday, Sunday, mate, as well.
What? We're not talking. Are you talking Saturday night, Sunday night? Is this a wee sideline you've got?
I'm working in Kensington, in London.
Oh, listen, I don't know. Well, I just know. All right. Are you doing a wee sideline there? Is there a wee few kind of expensive things you need to go and deal with? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, one of them. Yeah. No, so I'm working up in Kensington at it's one of these it's quite big in London. I'm building large apartment blocks with pools and cinemas and all sorts of things in the sort of the basements, and they have sort of pool concierges, so to speak. So I've got a couple of days in Kensington doing that. So it got cancelled from lockdown 2 actually early on. It was supposed to be the first weekend of lockdown 2, and it got cancelled. So they now want it done and dusted. So it's quite a large company that builds these. I believe they've got something in the region of 40 or 50 up and down the UK.
Yeah. I've got a client in Edinburgh who is an apartment block, and they've got a swimming pool there. I do their water analysis, done quite a lot of compliance work for them, and so on. And listen, it's an ever growing part of the swimming pool sector. Lots of these apartment blocks popping up where people are spending a fortune and for their apartment, and they get access to a swimming pool, a gym, and all that sort of stuff. But what the companies need to realise is that because that's a commercial venture, they then are, the nationally recognised guidelines are applicable. So sometimes that isn't always the case, but I'm glad to hear that your clients are getting you in to do some work. Brilliant, it's good. And then it's the following week, the week before Christmas. Yeah. There's party nights and all that.
Sorry?
Right, aye, that'll be shining. No chance. Aye,
so it's an interesting one because just to rub your nose in it a little bit, they're paying for me to stay up in Kensington as well.
Yeah, fucking joking. So you'll be living it up, Covent Garden and all that. Well, there's not much you can do at the moment,
No.
COVID-19 restrictions, you can't even take advantage of it. Listen, you'll be able to pick up that phone and just phone in, and just get some deliveries of some sort into your apartment.
You got
a wee Christmas party night to yourself, and obviously I'm talking Deliveroo here,
Yeah.
So we've got a busy week next week. The following week, I think you and I are maybe doing a wee bit more work in the office, so we'll be able to get a wee Christmas podcast out that week. Next week might be more difficult. I don't know. We might be able to tie something up. Do you never know? We could do a quick podcast next Friday when I'm in Belfast International Airport or something after. We can touch base,
Yeah.
At some point. Yeah, we'll get something sorted out for the listeners. And we need the listeners to come back to us and tell us what you want. Is there anything you want covered in particular? Is there special guests that you want invited on? So I mean, we'll have to. We can get guests on, but we'll need to draw a line at the Scottish football team. I know that they've got to the big Euro 2021 now next year, but I don't think we'll be able to get them on. So we'll need to stick with Pool Plant guys. But if you've got people that you want or you would like to hear from, then we'll do our best to to try and ask them on as a guest.
Okay, mate. Well, that'll do for us this week, I think.
Yeah.
Let me.
And now we can wave on the YouTube channel.
Cheers, guys.